3 a.m. Ethan, 14, raises a claw hammer above his father's open laptop. The screen still glows with the Roblox logo. One swing. Plastic cracks like a gunshot. This is how he lost everything in 60 seconds. Ethan was not a violent kid. Ask anyone at his school and they would tell you the same thing. Quiet, average grades, sat in the back of the classroom, ate lunch with 2 or 3 other boys who also preferred screens to soccer fields. His teachers described him in parent-teacher conferences using the same word every single time: forgettable. But inside Roblox, Ethan was somebody. His account was 4 years old. 4 years of grinding, trading, building, and becoming known. He had a rare limited hat worth hundreds of dollars on the resale market. He had a username that other players recognized in lobbies. He had a group of online friends who greeted him every evening like family, welcoming a son home from work. His father, Mark, did not understand any of this. Mark worked construction. He came home exhausted, covered in drywall dust, and saw his son glued to a screen for 6, 7, sometimes 9 hours a day. Mark had tried everything: grounding, taking the laptop away for a weekend, setting up parental timers that Ethan cracked within an hour using a tutorial. Mark had reached the end of a rope he did not even know he was holding. What Mark did not know was that, for Ethan, Roblox was not just a game. It was the only place in the world where his name mattered. It happened on a Tuesday evening. Ethan had failed another math test. His teacher emailed his father directly. Mark came home, saw the email, and something inside him finally snapped. He did not yell. That was the strange part. Ethan would later tell the therapist that he almost wished his father had yelled. Instead, Mark sat down at the kitchen table, opened his own laptop, and asked Ethan for his Roblox password. Calmly, the way you ask someone to pass the salt. Ethan refused. Mark asked again. Ethan refused again. Then Mark said 7 words that would detonate the next 12 hours of their lives. I already have it. I saw you type. Ethan watched his father navigate to the Roblox account settings page. He watched him click through the security prompts. He watched him type the reason for deletion into a small gray box. He watched him confirm, twice, that yes, he understood this action was permanent. 4 years, the rare hat, the username, the friend list, the building history. Every single asset Ethan had accumulated since he was 10 years old. Gone in the time it takes to microwave a cup of coffee. Mark closed the laptop and said, "Now go do your homework." Then he went to bed. Here is the part that is hard to hear, because it is the part where a parent could still have fixed it. Ethan did not cry. He did not scream. He did not slam his door. He went into his bedroom and sat on the edge of his mattress, perfectly still, for nearly 4 hours. His mother, who had been working a late shift, came home at 11 and looked in on him. She saw him sitting there in the dark. She thought he was meditating. She closed the door softly and went to bed herself. Stay with me here, because in about 7 minutes, I am going to show you what the school psychologist found in Ethan's notebook a week later, and it rewrites everything you think this story is about. In those 4 hours, something happened inside Ethan that neither of his parents would understand for a very long time. He was not planning revenge. He was not plotting. According to what he would later describe, he was simply trying to figure out who he was now. Because the version of himself he had been building for 4 years had just been erased by someone else's index finger. He searched his father's tool drawer at 2 in the morning. He found the claw hammer wedged between a tape measure and a box of drywall screws. He carried it back to his bedroom. He sat with it on his lap for another 40 minutes. And then he walked into his parents' home office, where his father's laptop sat open on the desk, still logged in. The first swing missed the screen and took a chunk out of the desk. The second swing caught the keyboard at an angle and sent 3 keys flying across the room. The third swing, the one Ethan would remember most clearly for the rest of his life, connected with the center of the monitor. The sound woke his mother first. She told the responding officers later that she thought someone was breaking into the house. She ran down the hall barefoot and found her son standing over the wreckage of a $1,300 laptop, hammer still in his hand, not crying, not moving, just breathing. Mark came in behind her. He did not speak for nearly a minute. He just looked at the ruined computer, then at his son, then at the hammer. When he finally spoke, his voice was so quiet that Ethan's mother later said it was the scariest thing she had heard in her entire marriage. "Put it down." Ethan put it down. He sat on the carpet. And for the first time in 4 hours, he started to cry. Here is what nobody expected. Mark did not call the police. He did not yell. He did not ground his son. He sat down on the floor next to Ethan, in the middle of the broken plastic and scattered keys, and he asked one question. "Why did that account matter more to you than anything I have ever given you?" Ethan could not answer. He did not have the words yet. But a week later, when the school counselor went through his notebook looking for warning signs, she found page after page of something nobody in his family had ever seen. Sketches of his Roblox avatar, drawings of the house he had built in-game, lists of friends with their usernames, their birthdays, the inside jokes they shared. 47 pages of a life that existed nowhere except on a server owned by a company 3,000 miles away. Ethan had not been playing a game. He had been living a second life. And when his father deleted it, from Ethan's perspective, his father had not taken away a hobby. His father had killed a version of his son that the father had never even bothered to meet. Ethan was not arrested. He was not expelled. What happened instead was quieter, and in some ways, harder. His parents took him to a family therapist who specialized in adolescent technology use. Over the following months, Ethan learned a word he had never heard before: dissociation. The therapist explained that for kids who grow up feeling invisible in their real lives, online identities can become more real to them than the body they wake up in every morning. Not because the internet is evil, because the offline world failed to give them a place to be seen first. Mark had to sit through those sessions too. He later said they were the hardest conversations of his life. He had to admit, out loud, to a stranger, that he had no idea what his son loved, what his son was afraid of, or what his son's friends were named. He had to admit that he had deleted 4 years of his child's emotional world because he did not understand it, and understanding it had felt like too much work. The laptop was never replaced. Mark said he wanted the empty space on the desk to remind both of them of something, not of the violence, of the silence that came before it. Ethan is older now. He still plays Roblox sometimes, but his account is new, and his father knows his username, and they have a weekly conversation about what he built that week. It is awkward. Mark still does not really understand the games, but he shows up. The hammer still sits in the garage, in the same drawer it came from. Neither of them has touched it since. If you are a parent watching this, the lesson is not that games are dangerous. The lesson is that whatever your child is pouring their hours into is where their heart is living right now. You do not have to love it. You just have to ask about it before you take it away. And if you are a kid watching this, listen carefully. The version of you that exists online is real to you. I believe that. But there is a version of you sitting in that chair, in that room, in that body, that nobody else in the world gets to play as. That one is worth protecting too. Tell me in the comments, do you think Ethan was the victim in this story, or was his father? Or were they both? I am reading every reply. If this story moved you, hit subscribe so the next one finds you. New stories every week, and I promise the next one is even harder to forget.